Hi, I'm Andrew Wasson. Thanks for joining me for my weekly guitar blog. It's October 18th, 2015, and this week we're going to do a lesson covering how to compose strong melody. And this week's question was sent in from Kevin. He's out in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and he wrote in with this email. Strong melodic riffs have a way of really getting into my memory. They seem to be almost hypnotic in how their melody or rhythm parts repeat, and I'd like to see how you treat melodies like this. Could you make a lesson showing repetitive, strong, melodic sound and ways to organize it? Any help with these strong, repeating, hypnotic-style melodies would be excellent, from Kevin in Minneapolis, Minnesota, USA. Well, thanks for writing in, Kevin. When melodies or rhythm guitar grooves repeat a lot and achieve a kind of hypnotic result, they generally follow a fairly typical approach. The method used here is based on taking a primary melodic statement and then building it through different ways, layering or just plain repetition. However, what fires off an interesting twist for the listener when you're, listening to this stuff is, what we'll do when we turn the phrase around. So that's where a lot of the focus can lie when you're putting these together. And this can be accomplished in a couple of different ways. So in this lesson, I'll be running through how to establish a repetitive statement, and then I'll show you options for making the melody idea strong to end up creating a kind of hypnotic effect with the part. So let's zoom in on the neck and get started. Well, the first idea I have creates a strong melodic riff by applying a highly repetitive melody line that is very simple in its choice of intervals in relationship to the underlying chord, as well as avoiding nearly every downbeat with a focus on the fourth beat of each measure to really push the time. So the underlying harmony is going to be that of G minor, and I'm just going to play this thing quickly for you to give you a good idea how it sounds. It goes like this. Well, as you can notice here, the really interesting thing that offers a sort of hypnotic sound, and it's going to be basically happening when we get to the final ending of the melodic line and how it changes to pull us around to the top once again. For the first three times through, we're basically doing an idea where we take a C to a G. So we're doing that. Basically, it's the fourth interval that comes around to a point to the root of the chord. That's the tonic of the harmony. But then when we're wrapping up, we actually have an F pointing to a D. Now the D is basically the fifth of the key, and the F is a flat 7 tone, kind of highlighting an effect anyway of a G minor 7. So it's a really interesting thing to mess around with when you're creating these repetitive, strong melodic riffs. Is sort of take into consideration how they're going to turn around, and how everything's going to pull itself together when you're wrapping the line up. Because you can see here, when you go through this part, you understand the idea of losing the downbeats well and good enough, but it's altering that phrase on the turnaround that I think really highlights everything. So I'm going to play the phrase for you one more time through, give you an idea again on how everything fits together. Remember that we're missing downbeats. So 2, 3, 4, 1. Well, the next idea here, I'm going to be running through a very repetitive rhythm that applies a double stop riff. It's based from a lower string drone note, and it's going to use a lot of consistent palm muting around the harmony of a G minor sound once again. So at first here, I'd just like to begin by playing through this riff, give you a really good idea how it sounds. It goes like this. probably the first thing that you noticed was the really busy upper string melody that's pulling the part along. And, just as we had seen from our first example, the second idea applies a turnaround part that really helps pull the listener along, just allowing the idea to continuously repeat. Now, one other thing about these types of riffs is they can be excellent for adding other layered ideas on. So, you could start this idea, let's say in a tune, and then over top of that start layering another melody, maybe put another guitar part, maybe put a synth part on, and just kind of have a really interesting layered effect with these sort of strong rhythmic bass, and then head on to some kind of lead or solo part or whatever. So anyway, I'm going to play through this thing one more time for you, give you one last chance to check it out before you start practicing it on your own. Here we go. Well, in the last example that I've got here, I'm going to go through another one of these strong repetitive parts and just demonstrate how you can operate using something a little bit different. This is going to be another double stop riff, but it's going to be a little bit different than the one that we just covered. This one is going to be a two-note harmony concept that really pulls a line across the length of the neck, and it's really a type of, I guess, guitar-oriented sound. You'll hear this a lot in different songs. So to begin with, let me just play through the part, give you an idea how it all fits together. It goes like this. Well, as you can hear, this idea generates a lot of movement. It's really busy. When you initially start working on this, take it very slowly, memorize all the locations and the parts, because I'm kind of playing it quickly here, but it'll take a little bit of thought put into this thing for it to work out properly for you. But these sounds, they really get the listener involved. They're really strong. They're very flowing. Plus, it's a very straightforward enough line for the listener to become quickly familiarized with it and be able to more or less anticipate, how and where the melody is probably going to head to next as they listen to it, developing measure by measure. So, keep this kind of thing in mind when you're writing your own too, because if you decide to develop something that's quite melodic, it can be a lot of fun to map it out, but then when it comes around to getting the technique together to play it, it can be another story, a lot of extra work involved. So what this thing is doing is really mapping out some lines on the top third and second strings there. And then it has a transition over to the fourth and third strings. Always kind of heading into that interval there of the A and C sharp. So if you haven't guessed by now, it is an A major based idea here in harmony. And we head back to the third and second strings, do that first riff again. But then to wrap up, we're kind of going a little bit more down the length of the neck, pointing over into this E chord, which is of course the fifth. It's like an E power chord there, pointing around to A again. Of course, the E is the fifth of A. So it's a lot of fun. I'll play it a little slower here for you, just one more pass through to help you, start getting into it and learning how to do it yourself. Just take your time with it and start getting a handle on how everything's oriented, and then when you feel ready, you can start speeding it up. jam on these types of strong, repetitive melody lines, they can be really interesting to both compose from a songwriting standpoint and from a technique perspective as well. Generally, these types of riffs and melodies will require fairly good technique to perform due to their repetitive style and just how they are so busy rhythmically. So as you practice them, they tend to end up making really good guitar technique exercises, and especially when it comes to developing right and left hand coordination and picking technique. So, begin by learning the ideas presented here, then try making up riffs like these on your own as well. They're fun to play, plus they'll also really improve your guitar technique. Anyhow, that's about all time I have for today. As always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and if possible, consider a small donation to help fund the guitar lessons project that I got going on here. Otherwise, have yourself a really great week, and I will catch up with you next time. Bye for now. I'd like to take a moment to mention another guitar video lesson project I've started. It's a unique guitar lesson approach that I'm doing online, and it's not like anything I've done before. Best of all, it's 100% free. I've called this approach Guitar Micro Lessons, and they're a great way to learn a few new licks or riffs or chord shapes each week. Now, these guitar micro lessons are quick and easy to learn from. They're very short, with each lesson running between only 1.5 to 2 minutes in length. They're published to YouTube from Monday to Thursday on my other Guitar Blog Update YouTube channel, and you can either subscribe to that channel to guarantee getting each new episode, or just visit the channel whenever it's convenient for you and check out the new micro lessons in the playlist on the Guitar Blog Update channel's homepage. If you're interested in learning faster, making better use of your time, and practicing longer, the Accelerating Your Learning Curve ebook is for you. Over 60 pages of information on how to take control of both the way you learn and the time that you devote to your practicing. Accelerating Your Learning Curve is available for instant download in the View Our Products area at creativeguitarstudio.com.